this is Sunniva.
And this is Johannes.
And you are watching Board Gaming Ramblings.
And today we are taking a look at Zhanguo. And Zhanguo, the first empire. This is not going to be a review per se. It's more going to be like a comparison. And in that, we're going to talk about what we like about the game. Because, spoiler alert, we like the game.
Yes, we do.
So, we are mostly going to talk about the differences. Most of you who are watching this probably already own this. I want to know if you should get this. Because if you don't own this and you don't own this, what should you do?
Get this, because this is impossible to get.
I think it's possible, but it's not possible to find it new anymore, sadly. But we have a new version.
Yes.
Which is basically, this is Sorry We Are French, who did this new version. And as I understand it, the designers kind of got a second chance of making the game.
Yeah.
So basically they said like, how could we make this game if we made it today with everything we learned about the other game? So it feels like it's a new game. It has some new things. It has some changes. We're going to go through all of that. But yeah, you like Zhanguo.
Yes, I really do like Zhanguo. And it has one of those, like, it feels like a classic Euro game, but it feels very unique and it has a lot of interaction in it.
It has a very cool card-driven mechanism where you play cards two different places on your player board or in the middle of the board to do actions with them. It kind of reminds me, and I read on BGG, people thought it was not like official, but people like this has had to be an inspiration for Lisboa because it's kind of much of the same thing.
Yeah,
like you are playing this card over your board in Lisboa under your board, or playing it to do the actions, which has kind of some kind of interaction, which is different, of course, in Lisboa. I really like Zhanguo. It's not my favorite of the What's Your Game games, so like the ones that we love, which is I think like Zhanguo, Nippon, Madeira, and also Signore we like a lot. I think those are our favorites. We also have the one with the telephone line. I don't remember the name of it.
Oh, I don't remember either.
No, but we don't have the expansion for that, and that makes the game better. But it's not like a review of What's Your Game. But I'm just sad that the What's Your Game is what it is right now. And I'm very happy that I did not sell or copy of Madeira while I backed the other one.
Yes.
But yeah, all of these games are fantastic and classic Euros. So I was super happy when I saw that they were making a new version. We didn't know about the changes before we actually sat down. You didn't know them before we sat down to play it.
Yeah.
I read the rule book and I was like, oh, I don't remember too much. But what we have done is that we have looked at these two games, looked at the differences, looked at the changes, and we're going to talk to you about them and how we feel about the different changes.
Yes.
That is kind of what this video is gonna be.
Yes.
If you don't know anything about Zhanguo, then this game is probably going to be, this video is probably going to be kind of weird.
Yeah.
Because we're not going to go like into all the mechanisms and how they work.
That's true, but if you haven't played Zhanguo, it is a really good game that we both like.
We recommend the game.
Yeah.
So if that's what you want from this video, it's a fantastic game. I highly recommend it as one of the... and this new version is fantastic. So basically, if that's what you want to know before we go into details, this new version, fantastic. Get it if you can. Yeah, I like the changes. Let's talk about the changes.
Yes.
Let's start with the first one that we have written down. We might have missed some. Like, we tried our best to find all of them.
Yeah.
But probably if you play the game like both of them many times, you might have seen changes that we haven't seen, but we're going to go through the ones that we remember. In Zhanguo, you have some officials.
Yes.
And the officials you need for many different things. And it's a big change, I would say, from Zhanguo to the First Empire. I'm just going to call the new one the First Empire.
Yeah.
Does that make
sense?
Or TFE.
The new one, yes. The officials is kind of a resource, and in the old game it was depicted by like cubes. Here it's like tiles. What do you call it? Cardboard tiles.
Cardboard tile, yeah.
And now they have abilities that are specific for that kind of like workers. No, sorry, that's something else.
Yes.
So
many names in this game of things.
So now the different officials can do different things, and they just have to stay in the right area.
Yeah.
And in the old one, as you probably know, if you have played the Zhanguo, you had to didn't matter what color they were, but you had to move it like up and down in the same area to do different things with them.
Yeah, basically the old version is as this. Like when you needed to have, you had two spaces up and down, you're going to see a picture, you needed to have the officials in the lower place to be able to get workers as an action. In the new one, there is a specific of them that can give you workers, and it's just going to give you 2 workers. It's not like 1 or 2 depending on it. Then in the old one, you could build a palace. Just if you had 2 workers and 1 worker in 2 different areas, you could build a palace. Here you need to have that, and also a specific official. The last official that you have in this game is for a new mechanism, or a whole new part of the game that we're going to talk about a little bit later. And the thing that they haven't changed is that you need to have like 1 of each to send out the governor, I think it's called. The governor. It's so many names in this game, and yes. I usually just look at the piece and say this thing. So we're trying our best here.
Yeah.
But to place the governor out. So that hasn't changed. But so it's kind of, it's a little bit easier to get the workers because it was, that's kind of not true, because in Zhanguo you could move them down to the worker space as much as you wanted to, but it was harder to get them then back up again.
Yes.
So you try to like, okay, I kind of don't need this now, I want to get some workers, and then I will move him up and use him. So it's kind of, some part of it is easier and some part of it is harder.
Yeah.
Which one do you like the most?
I like both, but I feel like they have streamlined it and made it cleaner with the new version.
I think that as you said, like I'm going to quote you, because you just said like, it's not that they've taken away the puzzle, they just made it a different puzzle.
Yes.
And it's not like completely different. I didn't even remember it. You remembered when we played.
Yes, it was just like, well, I don't need to play like up and down anymore.
But yeah, it's a good one. Briefly, some of this, as we said in the other when we did like the worm span and wingspan one, some of these are going to be short and some are going to be longer, like the one we just did. There is a change to palace scoring.
Yes. The old one, when you built a palace, you were scoring like points depending on how many cards you had tucked under your player board. Now you score 6 basic points, and then depending on where you build your palace, you get a scoring for a specific type of card, for example. So if you build early, then you have more what do you call it, like
incentive.
Yes. You get more points. You don't have to like tuck a lot of cards to get those points, and you also it's more now a little more interesting where you actually put it for the scoring.
And also it's more interactive that way.
Yeah.
Because you're gonna be like, no, you took the one that I'm gonna get more scoring than maybe I'm gonna try to move my workers around so I can do a better scoring, or try to do and find another one before somebody takes it. So it's even though like it was a number of spaces, I think, like X amount of spaces for them. I enjoyed this better. It is more of a, I could do a palace now, it's only going to give me 4 or 5 points. Maybe I will wait later in the game to get more cards under it. So I like this one better than the other one. Another thing, there's many scoring things that have changed. The other thing they scored is the governors. The way that when you play the governors out. In the old one, there was different bonuses. They were the same each time.
Yes.
Now they changed that to variable bonuses.
Yes, I like that. It actually did decide very much how I wanted to place my, governors. And because then suddenly an area that had been taken a lot before wasn't that interesting to me anymore, because it suddenly didn't have any bonus. It was like that in the
Zhanguo as well.
Yes, but I feel like it's cool with different bonuses.
Yeah, I like that they are variable, and also as you said, like it makes you think more about where. Yeah. Because it's a better bonus than just, is there somebody else that's taking the bonuses or not?
That's true.
They also changed the scoring. The old version, the Zhanguo, there was 9 points for the majority, and then there was 3 points for each governor that you had there, and now it's only a majority. So you are going to get, if you are first place, you're going to get 15 or 20 points depending on the player count, and that's it.
Yeah.
So how do you feel about that?
I feel like it's good. It doesn't feel like a huge change, but I like that concept.
Next up is the walls, which is a big scoring part in Zhanguo, which is kind of like an end of game scoring, where you are going to score for different things that you have done throughout the game. And they have changed this as well to make it different and maybe better. We don't know. I don't know. What do you think about the wall scoring,
Well,
Sunniva?
I like the wall
Wall.
I like the wall scoring as a concept in general, that you want to place early, because then you will get 3 points for the things that you've done instead of, for example, 1 or 2.
Or 0 if you don't go there.
Yeah, that's true. In the old version, it was 3 spaces on the walls, no matter the player count, but here you can also go there if you're playing with 4, so there's 3 or 4 spaces.
So there are 4 spaces.
Four spaces, yes.
And I don't like that.
Yeah.
Like, I enjoy the tightness of you having to go for it in a 4-player game if you wanted to. I personally, I like that racing better.
Yeah.
But it's not gonna make me choose to play the older one, that little thing. But I think I like that one better.
I don't have a strong opinion on that. I think either way works fine.
Yeah, cool. So next up, now we're just going on to the next change, which is the tasks, as they called in the old one, which is a boring word, but it's a cube pushing beige Euro game, which we love. And now in the tasks, you basically had like, okay, you are gonna try to have these amount of things in this, or like you're gonna have a wall in these areas, or a palace in these areas, which it was like the reason to go for palace earlier on, so that you could score those tasks basically before other people, because there were going to be more points. And in the old version, there was also like 2 colored areas of scoring. You put out like a tile that told you which area you were scoring it in, or like which area you had to have the specific things in. And then if you managed like 2 in the same area, you would get more points per, and all 3 in one area, you would get like a massive point bonus. They have changed that here as well. Now it's a mausoleum. It's called mausoleum, I think, where it's a terracotta army basically. You are getting these statues and you can place them in these scorings, and it's the same kind of way. They switch it around, so instead of like now there is the areas on the board and you place random one around which tells you what you should have in those areas. That doesn't change up too much.
No.
But now basically you want to look at that, and you want to score things like you want to get bingo. You want to score things in rows or columns, because you get bonus points, I think 10 bonus points for having like a whole row or a column of these goals.
Yeah.
The newest thing, like the new biggest change, other than that, is that now you don't have like a scoring token. You have these statues, and you also need to get the statues to be able to score the points.
Yes, I think this is a cool change, because it feels like the points doesn't feel as swingy as in the original, and I think it's cool that you add the thing that you need to get the points that you can actually score with as well.
The last thing, which is the biggest thing because it's completely new, so it's not like in Zhanguo there's nothing, and here it's a thing. And there is called like search for the elixir or something like that. It's a track with a boat that gives you bonuses and some alchemist cards. You have now some new alchemist cards. You're going to get them in the beginning of the game. Everybody's going to have the same ones.
Yeah.
And there's 5, I think, of them, 5 or 6. And those are cards that can be jokers that you can place everywhere, and you can trigger them for different things. They're easier. They're better than the other cards, but harder to play. And also the last official, which I didn't talk about, has to be in the area where you want to play one of those blue cards.
Yeah.
So when you do an action, there is a new action, which is changed out from the move officials around action that is now done other ways. You can move the boat, and when you move to specific spaces, you'll be able to place an alchemist card, and then later on you will get to choose between playing alchemist cards or getting these statues for the mausoleum, because you could maybe go for a strategy where you don't really need those cards, you don't need that many cards, or you filled up the row, you don't really have a good way to use it right now, so you rather get the statue and some points as well. I feel like this is kind of just it's a small addition. It doesn't really change too much, but I do enjoy it.
I feel like it's a very well incorporated segment into the game, like an element. It feels like it should have been there from the beginning. Not that the original lacks anything.
No, not at all.
But I feel like it doesn't feel like an expansion, because you have like one of your officials are meant for
that
this.
thing,
Moving on the
boat
boat
track, search for the elixir.
Doesn't only give you the cards that can be easily ignored. You can just like, I don't need the blue cards, forget that. But you really, like, if you don't have any final scoring, you're going to most likely not win this game.
That's true.
So I feel like this, it's a part of the game that it's hard to ignore completely. So it feels like a very complete part of the game.
Yeah, it feels like there's a little module that is gonna be there, and I don't think if you loved Zhanguo, you're gonna not like it because of this new thing. One thing to talk about, which is always the thing with newer games, they usually get bigger, and that is kind of the case here, but not really. The main board is exactly the same.
It's exactly the same as you can see in the pictures.
Yeah, there is this piece is now not on the main board.
Yeah, because they need space for the boat track, so they've taken away the player aid basically from the main board, and this is now that.
Yeah, this is like the aid for the where you play the cards, and also they have made the player boards a bit bigger, quite a lot bigger.
Yeah.
But most of that also is information.
Yeah,
that
information
you have
and the storing of your pieces, basically.
Yeah, and you have it easily available to you instead of having to look around the board and look at that. I think the symbology is better in the new version. Do you agree?
Yeah.
And I also think that it looks nicer. Like, I always loved the old beige. It's not really beige, but the old like colors. It's kind of beige because it's like an.
Oh yeah, it's super beige.
Super beige.
Yeah.
And this new one is more of a.
It's less beige.
Yeah, and it's kind of like this is watercolor. This is kind of watercolor, isn't it? I say that the other time. You're like, nope, it's not. This is kind of watercolor. This is what I think about when I think like watercolor piece of art.
That might be watercolor.
Oh, so you didn't know the other time as well.
Bested.
So I think that. And the box is the same size. I don't think you need that much of a bigger.
It's a little bit like higher.
Higher?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Narrow was the one. So
yes,
it was.
so
What is the other one? Thicker.
Thick and narrow.
It's
I don't know.
Thicker. I think that's it. So, but all in all, as we said in the beginning, basically, we spoiled you and gave away the final thoughts. Get this game. I recommend it. Upside Down. Do you recommend it?
Yes. Which one do you want to keep? I don't know which one I want to keep.
But yeah, like nothing in this version is worse than the other version, other than like the little thing I like the more tightness with the wall, but that is fine.
You can.
I don't need that. I don't do house rules because
I know.
I don't like them. But I like this new version because it's a fantastic game and I want to play it more.
Yeah, if we weren't like doing this video and having a YouTube channel and stuff. Would you, if you had this, would you go out and buy the new version? What do you think? Like,
I would not.
Do you need it?
No, you don't, because you already have a fantastic game. But basically, you can look at the changes and be like, because there are changes that are big enough to make somebody choose to, oh, I would rather have that version of the game.
Yeah.
So that is basically completely personal. I don't play the game enough to be like, oh, to warrant to like buy the new one to just like play it one time and maybe one time in 4 years. But it is a fantastic game. If you don't have the original, go and get a new one. And if you have the original, basically it's up to you. If you look at these changes, look at the pictures, look at everything and see if you might want to make the change.
Yes. I agree.
And that's going to be the end. If you are new here and you like what you do, then you can help us out in a big way by giving us a victory point.
And we get victory points when you click that subscribe button. You can also click the bell to get notifications every time we post a new video.
And this is going to be the end of this video that you've been watching about Zhanguo and Zhanguo the First Empire. Thank you so much for watching it. It means a lot. Yes. I'm Johannes.
I'm Sunniva.
And you've been watching Board Gaming Ramblings, and bye-bye.